welcome back to World 360. If you're a fan of Formula One racing, you probably know that the recent race in Saudi Arabia's Jeddah was held after a nearby oil facility was attacked by a rebel group in Yemen known as the Houthis. The attack happened on 25th March, just 10 km away from the racetrack, prompting top F1 drivers like Lewis Hamilton to express concerns about their safety and security. After assurances from the Saudi authorities, however, the race continued on. But the incident has sparked criticism against Saudi Arabia, which has been accused of sports washing its human rights record, which includes the alleged assassination of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Kevin Garside, chief sports correspondent at British Eye newspaper, went as far as to say that the events in Jeddah highlight the peril for all sports, not just Formula One, engaging in dangerous liaisons with questionable regimes for cash. Do note that Formula One has had a 15-year contract with Saudi Arabia for £50 million a year, one of the most lucrative deals in the sport. But F1 chiefs have said they don't plan to review the decade-long contract despite the incident in Jeddah. In fact, Formula One CEO Stefano Domenicali distinguished Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which led to Moscow being stripped of its Grand Prix race, from Saudi Arabia's 7-year conflict with Yemen. It is a matter of definition. Is a terrorist attack a war? He asked. So what is the conflict between Saudi Arabia and the Houthis in Yemen? The war in Yemen has been going on since 2015, and to put it simply, it is a proxy conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iran. The conflict has turned Yemen into one of the most impoverished countries in the Middle East, with roughly 80% of the population needing humanitarian aid and protection. The conflict has roots in the Arab Spring, a series of anti-government protests and rebellions that spread across much of the Arab world in the 2010s. In 2011, the movement touched Yemen and sparked an uprising that overthrew authoritarian leader Ali Abdullah Saleh. Saleh was forced to hand over power to his deputy, Abdurabu Mansour Hadi. But Hadi struggled to deal with militant attacks, corruption, and most importantly, many military officers who were still loyal to Saleh. The Houthis, an Islamist political and armed movement, saw their window and grabbed power when Hadi was at his weakest. In 2014, they seized the capital, Sana'a. This worried Saudi Arabia, who feared that Yemen's Houthis, a predominantly Saudi Shia force, would very easily align with its longtime regional foe, Iran. In a way, that's exactly what happened. Saudi Arabia began its intervention in Yemen in March 2015. It has been backed by a coalition of mainly Sunni-led Arab states from West Asia and North Africa, as well as Western powers like the US, UK, and France. This bloc supports Yemen's official government, which is based in the southern port city of Aden, while President Hadi is based in Saudi Arabia. Sana'a, meanwhile, is the Houthi-held capital, and though Iran denies it, the group is believed to have strong support from Tehran in terms of weapon supply, including drones. The reason the conflict in Yemen is so complicated is because there are many foreign interests involved. Israel, for example, which does not have diplomatic ties with Saudi Arabia, expressed its sorrow over the Houthi attack last weekend. Israel's Prime Minister also used the incident to slam Iran, a regional player that has refused to recognize the legitimacy of the State of Israel. The conflict is also complicated when viewed through the lens of US foreign policy. The US has often been criticized for backing Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen while still being hard on Riyadh for its alleged brutal killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. It's also important to note that there's no good guy here. The UN has alleged that both the Houthis and Saudi Arabia have committed war crimes. Houthis have been accused of targeting humanitarian aid workers in Yemen, while Saudi Arabia has been accused of double-tap drone strikes, which basically involves bombing a target, waiting for a bit, and then again bombing the first responders that arrive on the spot. As a New York-based online forum, Just Security, points out, Biden announced that he would be ending all American support and arms sales to Saudi Arabia shortly after he took office. But US support has continued in the form of defensive support, including servicing Saudi aircraft and providing other logistical and intelligence support. Now, before we conclude, let's talk about what the recent bombing in Jeddah indicates. Ironically, after the incident was followed by a wave of attacks, the Houthis offered a 3-day truce with a Saudi-led coalition and floated the idea of a permanent ceasefire. Anel Shaleen, a Middle East research fellow at US-based Quincy Institute, told Al Jazeera that it indicates both sides are one step closer to a long-term deal and that it would be wise for Saudi Arabia to consider the offer. But will the conflict get worse before it gets better? According to UN estimates, January 2022 saw the conflict's highest toll in 3 years, with over 650 civilians killed or injured. Also, the Houthis have in the past rejected the Saudi capital Riyadh, where the Gulf Cooperation Council head office is, as the venue for possible peace talks, opposing negotiations held in quote-unquote enemy countries. Thank you so much for watching. This is Pia Krishnankutty for ThePrint. Do subscribe to ThePrint.in and follow us on social media.